Hello. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands on which we are meeting today. I would also like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Thank you for joining us today for our session on ABSEC's partnerships and Aboriginal-led commissioning. I'm John Leha, a proud Barakat Waka Waka and Tongan man, born and raised on Gadigal land. I'm also the CEO of ABSEC and the designated project sponsor for the unique and innovative partnership. This partnership was formed to bring about better outcomes for Aboriginal children and young people engaged in the care system. Over the past years, ABSEC has been developing an exciting collaboration with key partners to design and deliver new supports for our children and their families. Our partnerships include government, community members, Aboriginal sector service practitioners and end service users who have been working together to create targeted initiatives that address community concerns. ABSEC has put together a new Aboriginal commissioning framework that has the main purpose of addressing the alarming overrepresentation of Aboriginal children and young people in the care system. Through our commissioning approach, the aim to achieve better outcomes for children and families through community design solutions and then investing in what people want. We have gone out to do things differently, to investigate issues that communities are concerned about and to define issues from their perspectives and lived experiences. Then to design local solutions with community and to work under new partnership arrangements to fund and deliver services around the desired outcomes. So today, we want to showcase how we are changing the landscape on developing, designing, delivering Aboriginal-led solutions that community actually want and help create. Today, we will provide you with an overview of ABSEC's commissioning framework for better child and family outcomes. Profile we are doing in co-designing and delivering a model of support for Aboriginal children and guardianship. Hear from the partners about their role in working together to develop and fund local solutions. We believe the current service system still fails to target investments to get the best outcomes for Aboriginal children and families. We, however, are seeking investment in initiatives that are not only designed with community, but support self-determination and are delivered to Aboriginal community-controlled organisations. This approach is Aboriginal community-led, created and co-designed from the ground up. ABSEC commissioning approach itself was also co-designed and developed with our government partners, community and Aboriginal service sector. Before I talk more about ABSEC's Aboriginal commissioning model and our partnerships, I want to give you a background to this new approach. We know Aboriginal children make up nearly 40% of children in out-of-home care, despite being just 3% of the population. This situation persists despite multiple investments in system review and reform. It's widely acknowledged that the new ways were needed to get the outcomes people desired. Aboriginal-led commissioning for outcomes was determined as a new way to do that, to align the needs of Aboriginal children and their family and community context, built on the principles of self-determination and accountability, and importantly, enshrined within the framework owned by Aboriginal people and communities. As you can see, the current service system model looks at addressing problems. Government policy often drives this system and may be slow to react to the needs of Aboriginal children and families. The current approach is top-down and not adaptive to change. Government departments often work in silos, so planning is often done individually. Services are often rolled out without being tailored to the actual needs of Aboriginal children and families. So what is commissioning? It is fundamentally how resources are applied to address community needs and achieve outcomes in the service or program area. Commissioning is described as a set of linked activities including issue identification, priority setting, procurement through contracts, monitoring of service delivery, and review and evaluation. ABSEC started our commissioning activities 2 years ago by taking and talking with the end users. Their lived experience, insights, advice, ideas on better outcomes were key and core to the design for solutions for guardianship support model. ABSEC's commissioning framework will also be trialled through the implementation of the support model. As you can see, the framework puts Aboriginal children and families at the centre of the three-phase commissioning process: design planning, implementation, and evaluation. Our project partners were engaged at various levels of the activities as we have travelled along the path to implement our commissioning framework and to create a new model of support. Contracting of service providers is occurring this month in the Hunter in Southwest Sydney. You'll hear more from our partners about their roles and experiences in this journey later in the presentation. We sincerely thank all the designers, the co-designers for the insights, advice, expertise, and passion in making the commissioning activities a success to date. The co-design solution and model of support will now be trialled through to 2023. One final point I'd like to make about ABSEC's partnership arrangement is about our commissioning governance structure. We believe these negotiated arrangements that operated under an agreed terms of reference have provided us with a new and exciting way of working with government. If you have any questions for us about community-led commissioning and co-design, please feel free to contact us at ABSEC. We're happy to share our experiences with you. I would now like to hand over to Gillian from our ABSEC commissioning team to introduce you to some of our partners to hear about their roles, experiences, and messages around Aboriginal-led commissioning. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Gillian. I'm the Project Manager for Commissioning with ABSEC. Thanks for joining us today on our discussion about genuine partnerships. We believe that our partnerships are actually quite unique and they've been a very interesting way of working with our new commissioning projects. So I'd like to introduce you to our panel who represent our government partners, the child and family sector practitioners, community members, and also some end-service users. So our questions to our panel are, could you describe your role in aiding and designing the creation of our commissioning model? And also, what's been different about collaborating this way? We'd like to hear about some of the benefits you found doing the collaboration this way and doing the co-design and commissioning, and also to let us know about your experiences collaborating in a partnership like this. If you've got any takeaway messages, we'd also like to hear. So I'll hand over to our commissioning partners. I'd like to welcome Bill Pritchard, ABSEC's Executive Leader for Commissioning from June 2020 to July 2021. So welcome, Bill.
Oh, thank you, Gillian. Yama, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm coming to you from Wiradjuri country at Rolleston today. I want to acknowledge the traditional elders where I sit today and wherever you may be, and certainly our future elders, our young people coming through, and members of the stolen generations, especially those that didn't have the opportunity to go home. I came to this role when it was to the commissioning model when it was partway through. There's been certainly a lot of development work happening before I arrived, but I was very excited when I got there to think that this has happened. I had been a previous CEO of ABSEC for 7 years, and also in total I've worked for 35 years in the sector in government and non-government roles, and I hadn't actually seen anything like this, and I was actually very cynical when I went, this won't work. But then I saw that, you know, it was a truly collaborative model, and with ABSEC as the Aboriginal peak leading it, we were actually able to set the agendas on the way forward. And our partners in it were very respectful, and they let us and acknowledged that we had the expertise to actually bring this forward. And I think that was one of the key benefits of it, that we were respected, and our knowledge and expertise was able to work in developing this new commissioning model and the co-design model itself. Like I said, I had not seen co-design actually work. If it was co-designed, it was led by the government department, and Aboriginal people played a smaller role in that co-design. So this was a new experience for me, and it overcame a lot of my cynicism. And what I really learned from it was that, you know, there is a willingness on government executive members to actually allow a different approach. There's an acknowledgement that things haven't been working, and that's been closing the gap has also acknowledged that, and governments have acknowledged that in closing the gap. But this was before closing the gap, and it was actually really pleasant environment to work in a co-design model. Everybody was respectful. Everybody tended to be able to speak freely. Nobody stood back. Everybody had an opinion, but it was a collaboration to get where we got to and get the successful commissioning model up and running for our guardians, our children in guardianship who were in need of this support. I think for me, the ability to feel safe, not only as an Aboriginal person, but the other participants, those members of the community, those guardians who participated in the design as well, were able to feel safe. And I think that's hugely important. So it's not just us as an NGO or the government as the government, but it's actually the partners who will benefit from this program actually felt safe in participating in it. I think it's a model that can be used, I'm confident it's a model that can be used in other project developments for Aboriginal people in New South Wales. And I think it could be a beacon, and it could actually lead, the success of it could lead to other governments throughout Australia taking it up as a model that will work for Aboriginal people. So that's all I have at the moment, but thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the speakers. Thank you.
Hello, Daniel.
Hi, Gillian. Hi, everyone. I'm Daniel Barakat. At the time, I was the Director, Child and Family Design and Stewardship with the Department of Communities and Justice here in New South Wales. And my role was really to facilitate the development of the Aboriginal guardianship support model and the commissioning model that sat behind it. And what's really important about this is that this wasn't about government. This wasn't about DCJ. This wasn't about me and my team. This was genuinely about supporting ABSEC to develop and co-design the model, to work with our clients and our communities, and to really let go of the power of needing to be the one who built this. And I think that taught us such important lessons. It meant we had to sit with some really difficult things to hear. We had to sit with the legacy that we have created. We had to sit with the discomfort that people have with interacting with us as a government department. And we also had to be vulnerable to being wrong, to being able to work through areas we didn't agree, because we actually wanted the same thing. And I think that was the most important thing for me. We wanted guardians to be better supported. We didn't want kids coming back into out-of-home care, and we wanted a commissioning model that the Aboriginal community would be proud of. So that really helped us work through all of the challenges. Look, we didn't know what we were doing. We'd not done this before, but we were committed to having a crack, to trialing, to testing, and to learning. And I think that's what it's all about. And, you know, having good humour, working through things. I think some of the key benefits of that way of working noting it can be a bit icky and uncomfortable, and we can sometimes feel a bit lost. We don't have those structures. We don't have a nice, public servants like a good plan and a good structure. They like things to be a little bit concrete. And we just had to kind of throw that out and suspend it and go, let's just try this. The key benefits really are, this isn't about us. At the end of the day, this is about Aboriginal people, Aboriginal communities, Aboriginal organisations, and it really is about self-determination. And, it's weird for someone like me to talk about that, but in actual fact, it's about how can we create the conditions where we work alongside our Aboriginal colleagues, and how can we support the development of a service and a commissioning framework that will allow for people to get what they need when they need, but also from who they want it from. And we didn't want this to smell or taste like a government service, and I think that was really important, and actually allowing the voices of the Guardians to drive that process was some of the most rich and worthwhile things we ever did. Some of it wasn't easy to hear, let me tell you. Some of the anger was hard to sit with, but we had to do it and it was right to do so. And I guess the other thing to say is, the expectation, you better deliver this because, you've asked us and we think you've listened to us and now you have to do it, makes even more important that real work to make this a happening thing. I learned from the project that it's okay to sit with messiness and confusion, that not everything needs to be put in a pretty plan. I remember we were developing the program logic. What is our theory of change? What are our activities and inputs, and how will they lead to outcomes and outputs? And, people say all the time language matters, but it's not only language that matters, it's the framework you use matters. And sometimes, we can use our scientific Western way of doing things, but we actually have to suspend that. We have to take it off and put it away and go, this isn't our document. This is not our program logic. This is not even our logic. Like, we need to suspend that and actually do what matters and, make sure that we're using the words and the language and the thoughts and the ideas of our communities. And I think that's really important. The other things we learned in government is sometimes you have to play a fine role between an advocate and an enabler. Sometimes you have to fight for things that are worthwhile and worth it. And I think it's important to do that and to do that respectfully. But also, we don't need to be the ones that have the power. That's the other thing. It's about sharing, it's about working together. And really, if you think about it, that's what a genuine partnership is all about. I must say that through this process, over the number of years that we've worked on this, not only the commissioning approach, but the guardianship support model, I've really developed relationships that I value with my ABSEC colleagues. And I think, I've got a much better understanding of many of our clients and service users that I wouldn't have had if I didn't do things differently or just listen to people in a different way. And I think that I've learned a lot personally and professionally from that. And I think that's what genuine partnership is. It's working together. It's sharing power, genuinely doing that. It's actually allowing beneficiary-led design where you actually don't have the answers, and our clients and carers do. How do we give them the voice to do that? And this has to be the way it is done. Too long we say, here is the solution for you, and we drop it down into a community, and then we're surprised that things don't work the way we anticipate. And I think really it's about Aboriginal services for Aboriginal communities, where, when, and how people want it, and how we as government can support, enable, and build that together. It's been a really important journey for us all. And a journey that I'm really privileged to have been part of. And I'd like to thank my ABSEC colleagues for being willing to work with us and to have a go at something that we really didn't. I mean this. We really did not know what we were doing. Well, certainly we didn't in government. I'm sure ABSEC had ABSEC always. I'm not only sure. I know ABSEC had a vision, but it was so lovely to see it come to fruition in a service starting to be built. Certainly in my neck of the woods, southwestern Sydney, I couldn't be more pleased. And I know that our guardians will be better off for that work, and that's even more important because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Thank you, Daniel.
It's a pleasure.
So, hi, Riley. Thanks for joining us in this discussion. You're with Treasury. Would you be able to talk to us about Treasury's role in this partnership?
Yeah, hi Gillian. So I'm Riley Kelly. I work in the Aboriginal Economic Wellbeing team at New South Wales Treasury. I'm a proud Yuman woman from the Upper Dawson River region in central Queensland, and I'm partnering with ABSEC on their guardianship and commissioning model. So Treasury has had a couple of roles with ABSEC to date on the project, including actively sharing our knowledge on the commissioning process and outcomes-focused service design as a way to help and support ABSEC on becoming a commissioning organisation. In particular, Treasury had a formal role on the ABSEC Commissioning Steering Committee and the Project Management Group, along with a range of other government agencies. Through this role, we worked alongside ABSEC as they developed their skills and know-how in being a commissioner of Aboriginal-led and created projects, a very new venture and a new way of working together with government, peak bodies and Aboriginal communities. Through this process, various members of Treasury's commissioning and human-centred design team were actively involved in supporting the community co-design workshops, which helped to create the support model. So the team really gave the expertise on co-design that would deliver supports to guardians, carers and community members in terms of what they actually wanted so that we could get the best possible outcomes. The experience was unique for all involved, and everyone's focus was really on how to realise better outcomes. So Treasury is also, in addition to that, contributing to the design of a new way, an appropriate way of evaluating Aboriginal-led projects like this through our Aboriginal Economic Prosperity Framework. So there were a lot of lessons that we learned throughout the project. Building trust between partners was difficult at times with a lot of unexpected staffing changes on both sides, but the commitment to work in partnership at that personal level helped to overcome these challenges. One of the other things that the Treasury team needed to adapt its human-centred design and commissioning approach to support an Aboriginal-led approach. There is a lot of the approach that we took that could inform commissioning approaches for universal services. For example, putting connection to culture at the heart of commissioning model took away that deficit-based model of need and support. The other thing is that there are a lot of the service solutions that are simple, but it's the permission to work together and share decision making that is much harder. So this is something that government partners had to continuously work on, including at the ministerial level.
Thanks, Riley, that's great.
Hi, my name's Leni Garvey. I'm a Kamilaroi woman living on Awabakal and Warramai lands. I'm very thankful for having the opportunity to share my little yarn with you guys today in terms of the journey that I've experienced with ABSEC over the last, I'd say 18 months or more in terms of getting to the point where we've got to today, which is a wonderful service model that will no doubt accommodate the needs of our people in community. So let me share a little of the journey. I recall a number of opportunities of sitting down to yarn with key stakeholders in community, both Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal, and also with ABSEC to look at, what we were doing right and, what we were doing wrong. So I guess what was working and what wasn't working. And it was quite evident from our people's perspective that, we needed to be heard and needed to have a voice in terms of what we'd experienced in terms of, caring for our kids in community in the most desperate times. And how do we support our people properly for that to happen? So it was a wonderful opportunity for us to collaborate together, community, services, to look at, those very things. And I guess from my perspective, it was really rewarding for me because I too am quite visible in that space and have my own personal experiences. So it was quite valuable for me to take part in those conversations and yarns. So I think the benefits of ABSEC coming to our individual communities was giving us an opportunity to talk about what was working for us in our communities, and for guys to be able to see what it felt like in our space as opposed to having to head somewhere. And it was a great opportunity for us to share with ABSEC, I guess, again, from our perspective, the importance of what we wanted to improve and to shape what we want for our people. And not all the time have we had that opportunity to collaborate and provide our understanding on how we wanted to do things for our people. And it was a great opportunity because it's a first, you know, that organisations are taking time out to look at how they can shape their service to cover the needs of our people, as opposed to our people being able to, you know, be eligible to access our services. So that was a really unique opportunity for our people to actually be a part of that conversation and see and be a part of hopefully shaping that. And I say hopefully shaping that. Well, in actual fact, we're here. It's been a really rewarding experience and journey for us here locally, because we've been able to take part in that conversation, and now we're actually going to see our organisations locally here demonstrate how they can I guess, take our words and our conversations and our yarns to be able to put it into practice. So it's really a privilege to be a part in that, right from the outset to the actual development of a wonderful service model. So for me, I, always hear those strange words of people saying, it's okay to talk the talk, but are you able to walk the talk? And I think this is an opportunity where ABSEC is going to be able to demonstrate that not only are they able to talk the talk for our people, but also walk with our people to be able to achieve some wonderful outcomes. And I think this model is going to provide us with that opportunity. So to the future, guys, let's look forward to see what's going to happen for us. Thank you.
And thank you, Leonie. You've been part of the process from right and when we started, and it's been a terrific experience having you working alongside us the whole way and sharing all your knowledge and your advice and helping shape the services that are going to be provided in the future. So thank you to you too.
Yeah, thanks for being so inclusive, guys. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for your insights today. This discussion has highlighted that our commissioning work has given us some great opportunities to reframe how community works with government to tackle difficult issues and to negotiate some great solutions.